So we all know Valentino Garavani, right? I mean, he's a fashion legend, a true titan of the industry, the maestro of that iconic red, the designer whose creations have graced the world's most glamorous figures. It's fascinating to imagine him as a young boy,
Oh, absolutely.
growing up in a small Italian town, not really captivated by, the typical childhood games or adventures,
Right.
but instead completely lost in this world of, what's been described as Fitzgeraldian dreams of splendid and refined women.
Wow.
And even more striking is the fact that his school notebooks were filled not with, sums or stories, but with sketches.
Whoa, way.
Small heads, bodies sheathed and curled in rustling silks. It paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's such a surprising image. When you think about it, it really hints at this incredible destiny, this vision that was so powerful, so specific, that it took root in his childhood.
It wasn't just a fleeting interest in clothes, it was a fully formed aesthetic.
Yep.
Almost like he had this innate understanding of elegance,
Yeah.
an intuition for it,
It's like it was embedded in him from the very beginning. And you can see how that clarity, that precision, that unwavering focus on a particular kind of woman he envisioned dressing really became the foundation of his whole empire.
It's almost like his life was leading up to that. And that's exactly what we're going to be diving into today. We're not just going to rehash a typical biography.
Yeah, right.
We're going to really explore the depths of Valentino Garavani as a person.
The man behind the myth.
Exactly. The driving force behind that extraordinary journey to global fame. And of course, those pivotal, sometimes unexpected shock moments that really shaped his path and left this indelible mark on the world of fashion.
So for all of you out there who, share our passion for Italy, for its remarkable contributions to art, to cultures, to style, to the world, this is your invitation to truly understand one of its brightest stars.
Absolutely. And when we talk about Italy's contributions, Valentino's story is completely intertwined with the rise of Made in Italy.
Oh, for sure.
It's become this globally recognized symbol of quality and luxury. It's about craftsmanship, it's about style, it's about this unique blend of artistry and practicality.
You know what I think? I think that's what makes Italian luxury so special. It's not just about extravagance, it's about this deep respect for material.
For tradition.
For tradition.
Yeah.
And this ability to create something that's both beautiful and functional.
And the Maison Valentino, established in Rome in 1960, with Giancarlo Giametti, his longtime partner, wasn't just another fashion house.
Right.
It was an emblem of all of those things. It had embodied that Italian spirit.
When you look back at Valentino's life, that thread of determination, that single-mindedness, it's there right from the start.
Anna Piaggi, who was quite the fashion icon herself, said it best. To understand Valentino, you need to know about his strong determination. Like he had this internal compass that was always guiding him towards his vision. What do you think? Where does that kind of unwavering focus come from?
Well, our research points to something really interesting. His parents. They played a massive role in his development.
No, definitely. They didn't just tolerate his interests, they actively encouraged them.
They were so supportive. Imagine allowing your teenage son to study in Milan while he's still in high school.
It's unheard of.
And then at 17, they helped him move to Paris in 1950, the epicenter of fashion at the time.
That's amazing. He himself has said, I was very lucky because my parents, instead of hindering me, helped me in every way. That kind of belief from your family, that early support, it must have been like rocket fuel.
It's like they saw this incredible potential in him, and they weren't afraid to nurture it. They gave him the space, the resources, the encouragement to really chase what, at that time, must have seemed like a far-off dream.
More than just luck. I think it speaks to a family that recognized a unique talent and did everything they could to cultivate it. And then there was Paris. That was his training ground.
The crucible where he honed his craft.
Exactly. He worked under Jean Dessay, a master of moulage, which is this incredible technique of draping fabric directly on the body.
It's like sculpting with fabric.
It's an art form. And then he moved on to work with Guy Laroche, who was known for his incredible precision in cut and his bold use of color. Those experiences, they weren't just jobs, they were like master classes in couture.
Yeah. He was absorbing the very essence of Parisian chic, but through his own unique lens.
And then, after all those years of absorbing, of learning, of honing his skills, he made a bold decision. He returned to Rome.
Back to his roots.
And in July of 1960, launched his own Maison. I mean, can you imagine the courage, the conviction it must have taken to strike out on his own like that?
It was such a powerful statement, wasn't it? I mean, here's this young talent trained in the heart of Paris, bringing that sensibility back to Italy, ready to define his own vision of Italian elegance.
And that vision really took shape in a brilliant, simple, yet powerful way just a few years later. In 1966, the iconic V logo was born.
Ah, the V.
It seems so simple, right? Just a single letter.
Right.
But its impact was huge.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's instantly recognizable.
That V immediately became this symbol, this visual shorthand for everything Valentino represented.
It wasn't just a logo, it was a mark of distinction.
It elevated everything it touched. And it definitely captured the attention of some serious style icons. Jacqueline Kennedy, Audrey Hepburn, Sophia Loren.
These were women who understood and appreciated elegance.
They were the embodiment of it. And for them to choose his designs, it was a testament to his vision. It was a confirmation that he truly arrived.
You know, it's remarkable how that single letter, that V, transcended branding.
It really did.
It became a cultural symbol, a signifier of luxury and sophistication. It really speaks to the power of visual identity and how it can play such a huge role in building a global brand, especially in the realm of luxury.
Absolutely. And when it comes to iconic symbols, we can't talk about Valentino without talking about Valentino Red. It's legendary. And the story behind its creation is almost as captivating as the color itself.
Fill us in.
Well, picture this. A young Valentino is at the opera in Barcelona, and he's just completely mesmerized by the sight of women in these vibrant red gowns. He later described it as an unforgettable vision of fascination, of passion, even of liberation.
Oh, wow.
What do you think it was about that specific shade of red that resonated so deeply with him?
I mean, red is such a powerful color. It has this inherent drama, this emotional resonance. It commands attention. It evokes passion, and it's timeless. It never goes out of style. It's like it tapped into something deep within him.
You know, it's funny. It became more than just a color. It became a signature, a language, an emotion woven into the very fabric of his creations. And then there's that pivotal moment.
Right.
His first trip to New York in 1962. This was America's introduction to Valentino, and it was a major turning point in his career. And two incredibly influential women played a huge role in that introduction, Jacqueline Kennedy and Diana Vreeland.
Ah, Diana Vreeland, a true fashion visionary. She had this incredible eye for talent, and she wasn't afraid to champion designers she believed in.
No, she wasn't. And Jacqueline Kennedy. I mean, she was the epitome of grace and sophistication. For her to embrace his designs, it was like a stamp of approval from royalty in the world of style anyway.
It was an endorsement of the highest order. And of course, the accolades started pouring in. In 1967, he received the Neiman Marcus Award for Extraordinary Excellence in Design, which back then was considered like the Oscars of the fashion industry. His star was officially on the rise.
There was no stopping him. And that rise continued, culminating in a truly spectacular event. Fast forward to 1982, his 46th Haute Couture collection, presented at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
Wow, presenting Haute Couture in a museum, what a statement.
I know, right? It was groundbreaking. It basically said, hey, fashion is art. It deserves to be here in this space alongside masterpieces.
Right.
And this wasn't some small private gathering. This show was broadcast via satellite. A global audience was watching Valentino make history. And guess who was instrumental in orchestrating this whole thing? Diana Vreeland, of course. She was a special consultant for the Met's Costume Institute at that point. She clearly understood Valentino's talent and saw the potential of this event.
It was a real turning point, not just for Valentino, but for the way fashion was perceived. It was this big public declaration that fashion could be art and that it deserved to be taken seriously.
And the accolades didn't stop there. That same year, a beautifully crafted book simply titled Valentino by Franco Maria Ricci, with text by the incredible Andre Leontali, was published. It solidified his place in fashion history.
And then in 2007, Rome basically transformed into this grand celebration of Valentino. It was his brand's 45th anniversary, and they celebrated in style.
Oh, it was amazing. There was an exhibition, Valentino in Rome, 45 years of style. And then there was this gala dinner, fireworks. The Temple of Venus, reconstructed by Dante Ferretti. I mean, talk about a spectacle.
It was unbelievable. And then the Colosseum itself was bathed in Valentino Red. Can you imagine? It was such a powerful image. It was like the whole city was celebrating him and his legacy.
It was a moment, a truly iconic moment, you know, the kind of thing you would want to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to see more about. And that same year, something else happened, something bittersweet. On September 4th, after 45 incredible years at the helm, Valentino Garavani retired from the runway. It was the end of an era.
Yeah, it was a huge moment in fashion history, but of course the Maison Valentino lived on.
And the succession was quite interesting. Alessandro Facchinetti took over initially, and then Maria Grazia Chiuri and Pierpaolo Piccioli came in.
And they did an amazing job. I mean, they really managed to respect Valentino's legacy while also bringing in a fresh contemporary perspective.
And now Pierpaolo Piccioli is the sole creative director, continuing to steer the brand towards the future. And it's a testament to the strength of Valentino's vision that the brand has continued to thrive.
Absolutely. And what's remarkable is that Valentino, even in retirement, he couldn't resist those occasional creative bursts. He came back to design for a few special occasions, like Anne Hathaway's wedding dress in 2012.
Oh yeah, and Princess Madeleine of Sweden's wedding gown in 2013.
Exactly. It just goes to show that the passion was still there and those personal connections meant a lot to him.
But, beyond the runway, beyond the glamour, what's really interesting is Valentino the person.
The man behind the icon.
Yes. And our research has uncovered some really fascinating glimpses into his humanity.
For someone who operated at such a high level in such a glamorous world, he had this remarkable sense of self-awareness and humor.
He really did. I mean, remember those cameos he did in films like The Devil Wears Prada and Zoolander 2?
Oh, yeah, those were great. He didn't take himself too seriously.
He was in on the joke. And in a 2017 interview, he was incredibly candid. He talked about his passions outside of fashion, like his dogs, and his love of gardening.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's those little details that really humanize him.
It reminds us that he was more than just a fashion icon. He was a person with a full life.
Absolutely.
And he had some pretty strong opinions, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like on the concept of divas. He drew a distinction between what he called yesterday's divas.
Who he felt were more connected to their audience.
Right. And today's divas, who he perceived as being more self-absorbed.
More focused on themselves than on their fans. Interesting.
He even named names. He identified Nicole Kidman as a true modern diva.
Oh, wow. And Gisela Bündchen as the most beautiful woman in the world.
It's fascinating how he saw that shift in celebrity culture. And here's something you might not expect. He admitted to being hesitant to dress the royal family.
Really?
Yeah. He found it too difficult, too full of constraints.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of protocol and tradition involved, not a lot of room for creative freedom.
Right. And he clearly valued his creative freedom. And he also talked about his love for his Paris home. He described it as a place where he felt happy even when he was alone. It was his sanctuary.
It makes you think about the importance of having a space where you can truly be yourself, away from the demands of the world, especially when you're someone who's constantly in the public eye.
Yeah, it's essential. And he said something pretty provocative about the power of clothing. He believed that clothes could make any woman alluring, even a woman he might consider ugly.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
But it speaks to his deep belief in the transformative power of fashion.
And it's tied to this idea that confidence and self-expression are beautiful. Now, you might expect someone who achieved his level of success to be a workaholic, always on, always pushing.
Yeah, that's the stereotype.
But he claimed to have a pretty standard workday, 8 hours, like everyone else.
Wow, that's surprising. It challenges the notion that creative geniuses have to burn the midnight oil to achieve greatness.
Maybe it's about working smarter, not harder. Or maybe he was just really good at time management. And in that same interview, he opened up about love and relationships. He said he had fallen in love many times. And he was a strong supporter of civil unions.
That's wonderful to hear. It shows a real open-mindedness and a belief in equality.
He was also remarkably candid in his self-assessment. He admitted to being vain and very jealous, but also hoped to be seen as witty.
That honesty is refreshing. It makes him seem more human, more relatable.
And he said something that really resonated with me. What makes him feel good, truly good, is knowing that people love him for who he is, not for his accomplishments or his fame.
That's such a fundamental human desire, isn't it? To be loved unconditionally.
Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you're enjoying these glimpses into the lives of these incredible people, these Italian icons, there's so much more to come.
We're just getting started.
Exactly. And Valentino also admitted to something that I think a lot of people can relate to, the fear of aging. It's a universal fear. It makes him seem vulnerable in a way.
Absolutely. It reminds us that even those who seem to live these charmed lives still experience the same fears and anxieties that we do.
And when asked about his legacy and the future of the Maison Valentino, he expressed real appreciation for Pierpaolo Piccioli's work, especially when it stays true to the essence of Valentino, while also evolving to meet the needs of today's world.
It shows that he understood that fashion is a living, breathing thing. It has to change and adapt to stay relevant.
It can't just be stuck in the past. And his advice to aspiring designers was simple but powerful. Don't pay too much attention to comments and never stop believing in yourself.
That's such a valuable piece of advice, not just for designers, but for anyone pursuing their dreams. It's about having the courage to trust your instincts and to stay true to your vision.
And speaking of vision, we have to mention the latest chapter in the Maison Valentino story.
Oh yes, Alessandro Michele.
As of April 2024, he's the new creative director. A bold choice for sure. It'll be really interesting to see what he brings to the brand.
It's an exciting new era for Valentino.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the extraordinary life of Valentino Garavani, I want you to think about his journey from those early Fitzgeraldian dreams in that small Italian town to becoming a global icon, synonymous with elegance, with style, with a certain vision of beauty. It's quite a story, isn't it?
It really is.
What does his life tell you about the power of vision, of determination, of the ability to adapt and evolve while staying true to yourself in a world that's constantly changing?
It's truly inspiring. It shows what's possible when you have a dream and the courage to pursue it relentlessly.
And how do you think his unique blend of artistic passion and that incredible understanding of his brand, that business savvy, how does that resonate with you?
I think it speaks to the fact that success in the creative world, in any world for that matter, requires both talent and strategy.
It's about the art and the business.
Exactly. And Valentino was a master of both.
He was. And if you want to explore his world further, I highly recommend checking out the Valentino Garavani Virtual Museum. It's an incredible resource.
A treasure trove of fashion history.
And that's it for our deep dive today. Thank you for joining us.
Until next time.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next videos.